You're watching Good Morning Washington.
SixDegrees.org is a nonprofit that was founded by the award-winning actor and musician Kevin Bacon, and the nonprofit has reached two incredible milestones that we get to exclusively reveal here on Good Morning Washington. We are joined this morning by the Executive Director of SixDegrees.org, Stacy Huston. Welcome to Good Morning Washington.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's get right into it before we get to these big milestones that we do want to talk about, but tell everybody what the organization is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So SixDegrees.org is a nonprofit, a public 501c3 that really supports other grassroots local nonprofits. We do that by telling stories about their work, amplifying the change makers that are leading those organizations, and connecting them to resources that they need to further their impact.
Well, we are excited to reveal two big milestones. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So Footloose is a movie that made our founder, Kevin Bacon, iconically famous, and it turned 40 last year.
Oh.
So we decided to take that milestone moment and build a campaign around it, really harness the energy around that really fun film. And so we committed to building 40,000 essential resource kits and distribute them across the community, where all of our network partners are doing amazing work, but they wanted to have, some additional help and support.
Yeah.
And we just finished the 40,000th kit right here in Washington, D.C.
That's awesome. That extra support is so important right now more than ever. Talk about what this means for the community.
Absolutely. I mean, when we traveled across the country, what we saw was that there was a need from any community, even the most affluent of communities, for hygiene. Hygiene insecurity is something that's often not talked about, but it touches all communities. And there was also a need for connection. These kit builds weren't just about filling bags and handing them off to the people that they're serving, but it was about what happens in the magic of when you're sitting next to a neighbor or a coworker that you don't know that well, and you're doing something good for someone else, and you're beginning to have conversation, have some face-to-face interaction, something that we need a lot. And it's a way for 6 Degrees can focus on these nonprofits. As you know, right now, especially here in DC, there's a lot of talks of grant funding being pulled and nonprofits not really knowing what the landscape's going to look like. And so we have a great opportunity to step in that gap and help give them the attention they need.
Well, let's talk about that with the current landscape, why it is so important for the community to come together and support nonprofits now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Something your viewers might not be aware of is about a third of all funding for nonprofits actually comes from the government. So that's a lot. And right now, with some of those changes in policy and rollbacks, there's going to be a great need for the collective impact that we can all do together. So that means companies coming in to find ways to partner with these organizations, individuals coming in, rolling up their sleeves, lending their talent and resources to help support these organizations.
You recently gave a TED Talk. Let's talk about some of the big takeaways from that.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was a TED Talk all around how it's called hands-on approach to remodeling society. And the heart of it is that often with these issues that we're facing in society, it feels like it can be overwhelming. And we can walk away, we can put our head in the sand, or we can say, what can we do in our own community to help the neighbor, the friend, the stranger? And by doing simple acts of kindness, or what I call acts of humanity, making it part of your daily routine, not only do, the science says we feel better, it releases endorphins, all those sorts of things, but actually inspires others to take part as well. And that's really where we see change happen. We believe that service is the antidote to hopelessness, and we can all take part in making our communities better and stronger.
So important. Where can people go to learn more about your organization and start giving?
Head to SixDegrees.org. We're also across all of our social media channels. You can find us on Instagram at 6DegreesofKB, as in Kevin Bacon. We'd love to just connect with you, learn about the things that you're passionate about, get you plugged into organizations in your backyard that could use your expertise.
Yeah, great work you're doing, and so important now more than ever. Thanks so much for being here, Stacy.
Thanks so much for having us, kid.
We'll have more of Good Morning Washington right after the break, but first, here's today's America's Steals and Deals.